I would like to welcome you to the line. Madeline, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what your position here at Underdog Roofing is. That's where we are today. We're in Underdog's corporate office here in Nashville, Tennessee. And why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself to those who might be listening.
Yeah, definitely. So my name's Madeline, and I am the owner of Underdog Roofing. And we started about 3 years ago, actually last month. So as of August. And it really started with me and my husband. And it's been a really great adventure. And we're really excited about it. But right now, I'm the office manager is what I go by. I don't go by owner or anything like that. And I just do all the administrative work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So like a typical startup, you do all of it.
Yeah. So actually, when we started, I was working a corporate job for a whole year while doing the admin on the side.
Okay.
So that we could really grow and afford to have a business and a life at the same time.
Wow. Wow, that's really cool. So, and children?
Yeah.
Obviously, as we're talking, I think I know that you have at least one child soon to be
I
here.
have one on the way,
Yeah.
and then we actually have one that's about to turn 2 next month as well.
Wow,
So,
that's crazy. That's
yeah.
awesome. So what is it like, operating a business in the skilled trades and starting a family? Like, I mean, you're kind of doing it all.
Yeah. I like to say we don't ever slow down because we just jump into everything. And I think that's the way to do it. You can be scared and just not do it, or you can just jump full force and just go all at it. It's crazy. It's hectic. It's hard to manage, but it's all worth it just for the future.
Yeah. I remember when I started a construction company almost 20 years ago now, a close friend of mine had said to me, he goes, at that point in my life, I was pretty young. And he looked at me and he goes, dude, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
And we just need to send it sometimes. We need to get out there and be like, hey, I'm just going to send it. I'm going to do it and see what happens. And in all honesty, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. You move on to something else.
That's exactly it. We actually had a failed business before. I don't want to say failed. It wasn't a failed business, but it wasn't something that was going to support our family.
Yeah.
But we learned from it, and then we decided to start the roofing company. So
let's talk about Underdog there just a little bit. Just some stats that I researched on roofing that I found really interesting. I think that you're a lot smarter than me, and you picked a very intelligent market to get into. So it says that the roofing contractors industry is currently a $60 billion business. That's with a B. And it's bigger than the combined real estate and automotive insurance and construction industries. That's huge.
crazy.
Yeah. That's and just to give some comparison, we're here in Nashville, and I read that the music industry in the United States is just shy of $16 billion. So there's $60 billion in this industry, and it's been growing since 2012. I think in 2012 they were at 40 billion, and now they're at 60 billion. That's crazy. A lot of opportunity, I take it.
So much opportunity. Yeah. Anybody can do it, really.
Really? Well, what would you say are like the 3 things that you need to do it?
I would say you need the motivation, you need the knowledge, and you just need a good team as well. I would say that's the 3 things.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I would say those same things in having started a business and built a business. I think that you need grit, which is what you are calling motivation.
Yes.
And knowledge. That's a big part of what, Blackline Institute and what different organizations around the country are realizing is that we need to train up the next generation. There's this huge amount of knowledge that is moving and being lost in the industry. And so we need that knowledge, and it needs to be passed on. And then team, Man, you really can't do it without a team of people. I mean, it's really impossible.
Everybody has their special position that each person excels at. And I think that's really important to have in order to grow a business.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about, how does Underdog, here in Nashville, how do you guys handle it with clients? Like what is it that you do? So something happens to my roof, what is your focus in roofing? Because I do know that 90% of all roofing is taking off an old roof and putting on a new roof, not just putting on the roof for the first time.
Correct.
Yeah. So what is Underdog's approach? What makes you different than the other guys that are out there?
Yeah, so I would say that Underdog is not a salesy company. We don't go into it being like, the sale is the most important thing. We actually do care about the customer. We want to get to know the customer and we want to help them. So quality is what I think really sets us apart. We're never going to say that we're 100% perfect. We make mistakes. We make mistakes on probably almost every job, but we're going to fix those mistakes. We're going to own up to them, and we're going to make sure that they're always happy with the work that we're doing for them.
Okay. So I was on one of your jobs the other day, watching your team work. And one of the things that really struck me, there's a lot of independent contractors in the roofing industry. And you guys manage that, and I believe work with independent contractors as well. But I was really struck by your teams out there. They all were decked out in Underdog gear. What is the reasoning behind why does Underdog spend that money and invest in that money in that way to do that?
We want them to feel taken care of. We want them to feel like they're a part of us. They're not beneath us because they're doing the manual labor part of us. Like they're doing the same importance of a job that we are doing. And we just want them to feel taken care of and that we really appreciate everything that they're doing and the hard work that they're putting up there 12 hours a day in the 110-degree weather.
Wow.
So
that is, wow. And it's pretty hard work. I mean, when I was out there, I was thinking about, one of my core values is grit. And I was like, wow, this is grit on a whole nother level than what I'm used to.
It is. They don't get enough credit. I mean, it's something I could never go up there and do something like that. And they go up there every single day, 6 days a week, just to support their families.
Wow.
So.
Wow, that's really cool. It was also interesting the other day when I was on the job. There was probably, this is your biggest nemesis in the roofing industry, I don't know, but it was a beautiful day. It was gorgeous. They had most of the roof stripped off, and the skies just turned black and turned into this torrential downpour. I was really struck by it, and I don't think that people realize this in the trades industry, because it's like, my internet doesn't work, or my HVAC is not working, my air conditioning, it's not working. And we don't realize what it takes for that and what the people do and what they risk and sacrifice for that. So this thunderstorm is going on in this person's home, multi-million-dollar home. And your team, instead of putting themselves first and being like, I'm going to get off this roof and I'm going to get out of the rain, they were like, well, we got to cover this up. We got to get this taken care of. And really looking out for the homeowner in their home, trying to protect them. It was pretty impressive. And they did it being safe, but still taking care of the homeowner. I heard Mike Rowe has made a comment. He says safety third. And it really gets a lot of people worked up because they're like, safety first. But your team, it's like we have a job to do first.
Yep.
Then we need to make money because that's how we put food on the table for our families. And then we need to be safe. And the fact of the matter is, if safety was first, then we wouldn't actually go to work. We would stay inside our houses, and your team just really exemplified, I think, I wish that the neighbors and even your client could have seen them on that roof, spreading these tarps out. And then I believe it was your husband and his brother who are, your husband is a partner with you, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah. And they were inside the house with the homeowner, helping clean things up, take care of things, helping the homeowner to just understand that Underdog really cares about them and their home and wanting them to feel safe.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, you kind of have to think about every roof that you're doing. What if that was your house? How do you want your house to be treated? And you want it to be treated with the utmost respect. If something was to happen to your house, you're going to take care of it immediately. So why wouldn't we do that for our clients as well?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you're a woman, you're in this industry, you're working with these things. You talk with clients all the time. What is it like? What does it feel like when are you part of meetings and whatnot and things like that with customers?
Yeah, so I would say I'm more on the back end. I'm not the one going out and meeting all the customers. I kind of talk to them on the back end of things if they have questions about the contracts or billing or anything like that. But also if somebody has any issues with the job, they're not happy with how something was done, then that's kind of where I would step in and just, hear them out. What's going on? How can we help to solve this?
Okay. What does Underdog look for in their team? What are the things, you talked about what it takes to run a business, and I think those three things are really good. But when you're looking for people to come and be a part of your team and to do the work, I've met some of your team over these past couple of days, and you have some really cool people.
We do.
Yeah. What is it that you look for that you're getting these really cool people?
I would just say we go with our gut. Not a single person that we have hired has really had any roofing experience. That's something that can always be trained, but it's more looking for the person that we really feel like fits in with our team, that we think can go above and beyond for our customers. We don't want just employees. We want people that are always going to grow, and we want to help them grow. So we want to make sure that we can see that in them, and that we see that, they're not just here for a job. This is really like a career for them. Passion is a big thing that, yes, I would say passion.
So in the roofing industry, one of the things that I want to talk with you about here is just miseducation, misinformation. Can you make a good living doing this?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So someone, and is it something that takes a long time? I mean, you need to go to school and get a degree, or what do you need in order to be able to turn this around and actually turn it into money in your bank account?
Nothing, none of that. So, obviously we're 3 years down the line. My degree in college is pre-med. My husband did not go to college, so neither of our educations was necessary to start this company. And 3 years down the line, we're making a great living for ourselves. Our employees are all making a great living for themselves. So education is just like what you make of it yourself. You don't have to go to school to do that. You just need to, we trained ourselves a lot by YouTube.
Interesting.
Yeah, just watching hours and hours of videos on YouTube. We went and learned at another company in Texas how to run a roofing company, what it takes, kind of just like how to install a roof, all those things. But yeah, it doesn't take, you just have to be motivated. It doesn't take a ton of funds. We just took out what we had in our savings for the first roof, and that's what floated us along.
So with that, you learned in that way, and you started, knocking out one roof after another roof after another roof. And you have quite a few people now.
Yes.
You guys looked like ants on the job the other day. So with that, how does Underdog then view the importance of training, and what type of training? I saw some of it yesterday, but what is the investment that you're putting back into those people out there to make sure that they're safe and training them?
Yeah, so I think training's the most important. So I think knowledge is number one. That's key. I think knowledge is what's going to sell a job to a homeowner. If you go in and you're like, hey, this is the correct type of ventilation that you need for your home, or, X, Y, and Z, that's what sets us apart from any other roofers is knowledge. So we think that's really important. And when we hire somebody new, we have a training site that we want them to go on and watch all these videos. But then we want them to go out with one of our associates as well, learn the whole roof system, know what you're talking about. But if you don't know, it's okay. Never like try and be like, yeah, this is what's going on. No, like always own up and be like, you know what? I'm not sure, but I'll find out for you.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think so too. And just owning mistakes, owning the things that you don't know. That's one thing in the construction industry, in the trade industry. I think that we've messed up is, we end up trying to be so safe that we don't make mistakes. We don't talk about mistakes. And you talked about in the beginning, a failed business, and then you were like, no, it's not really a failed business. Failure only is failure if you quit. Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the big things that we are doing a disservice to people in the trade industry is we're not allowing them to know that it's okay to make mistakes. I mean, all of the things that I learned in building a business and in becoming a journeyman, becoming a tradesperson, I learned from my mistakes, and the more painful the mistake, the more that it resonated with me.
Oh, yeah.
And so what is it that, you guys try to do to communicate to your team? And what would be advice that you would give to anybody listening that, like, you're running a job, you're a foreman, you got people that are working alongside you. What is it that you and Underdog would say we should be doing in the trade when it comes to people making mistakes? How do we deal with that? And what is the response that we give to those people that are trying to manage that team to let people know, hey, it's okay that you made a mistake?
I think communication is key. We're not going to get mad at anybody for any mistakes that are made because we've all made them.
Come on.
So it's okay to make the mistakes. I think if we put too much pressure on somebody that, hey, you have to be perfect, that's not okay because no single person is perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. And I think if we let everybody know and like they're comfortable with knowing like, okay, if I make a mistake, I can go to Madeline, I can go to Will, and I can tell them, hey, this is what's wrong on this job. How can we fix it? And then we all work together to make sure that we're doing what we can to fix it and communicating with the homeowner. I think communication with the homeowner is probably the biggest thing to make sure that they know like, hey, this is what happened, but we're going to take care of you. Because if you don't tell them and they see it, that's where you're going to have a really big issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess with communication, what about when it's really hard?
It sucks. That's all I could say. It sucks, but you just kind of have to push through. And, there's times where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have this conversation with this person. And you might put it off for a couple days. But once you have that conversation, the relief that's lifted off your shoulders, it's the biggest thing because you came out like, you're like, okay, they know what's going on. Like now I can really take this head on and fix the situation. Yeah. But there's been some tough conversations. So
yeah, I think we really do a disservice when we delay those tough conversations. It's like it always is bigger in our mind than what it really is then.
Yes.
And that communication, it's such a key part of what in the industry we can do, whether it's communicating to a homeowner or whether it's communicating to a staff member or a team member. If we do that, the more that we do that, the more that we're able to change and affect things in a positive way.
I agree.
Yeah. I really love what you said about perfection. One of our core values at Blackline is, excellence. And I've been saying a lot lately to people that, it is excellence versus perfection. We are not looking for perfection. We are looking for excellence. And excellence, is when you make a mistake, how do you respond? What do you do? How are you going to answer that? Because the fact of the matter is we do. But we want to be pursuing excellence always. And we don't want people to feel like we're looking for perfection because it's not attainable.
No.
Yeah, there is nothing that is perfect. And I think that's part of what makes people so cool and interesting. I actually personally don't like perfect things because there's no story, there's no character, there's no history. Nobody that has been successful has this story where they got up and they started a business and it just fell into place and everything worked out. It was
easy. Yeah.
That's actually not true. And anybody that was looking for that, they quit. So I just love how you say that, and that excellence versus perfection thing, seeing that and hearing that that's something that you guys are implementing. That's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah, it is definitely something that we have to continue to pursue so that people can continue to grow and learn and have knowledge. And honestly, it's just such a deception to make people feel like, well, we don't make mistakes. I guess that would be my next question for you as a boss, because while you don't put that on your card, that's your title. You definitely are the boss. I can see that in this room. With that, how does Madeline own her mistakes? Because you make them too, I'm assuming, if you're a boss.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, I really think it's just, once again, just open communication with everybody. I mean, I drop the ball in doing things all the time. I'm behind on doing half of my work. And it's just owning up to that and just saying, like, I'm sorry, I will do it. But I think it's just setting like a good example for everybody as well, that it's okay that we're behind. It's okay. Like, it's just day by day. Let's just take what we need to do today, and whatever we don't finish today, we'll get to tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think that's just really important because, mistakes happen.
They do.
I'm queen of them. So
That's good. I guess, we're just kind of wrapping up here. A couple of more things that I want to ask you. With Underdog, with the trades, and roofing, all of these things, what would you, I have a daughter, she's 18, or she's 17. It's one of those. And if she had an interest in the trades, in the industry, what would you say to her as a young woman is the most important thing as she would be coming into something like this?
I would go back to your whole term of grit. I wouldn't be scared. I mean, it doesn't matter that it's a male-dominated industry or anything like that. As long as you have the grit to push through and pursue and, take your time to learn the industry, I think that's all that matters. Your passion as well. If you have passion about something, which I never thought I would be so passionate about roofs.
Yeah.
But I drive around and all I see is roofs. I don't see anything else on the road anymore except for roofs. But you have that passion and that grit, and you'll be successful in anything that you do.
Yeah. So when you talk about passion and your passion for roofs, what is passion look like for you? And can you define that for me a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just like, it's what I really care about. I don't necessarily care about the roof system, that's just something that goes on the house. But I'm passionate about the fact that we are helping people. You don't really think about it in that way, but you're putting a roof over somebody's head. That is one of the most important things on a home.
Yeah.
And just caring about the customers, getting to know them. And I think it's just passion for my family. This is what is going to provide for my family. And so I'm going to make sure that I'm the best at it every single day, that I put 100% effort into it every single day.
Yeah. It's interesting, all these values and these things that you're talking about. We were down here with Underdog Roofing, and we also were down here with Equipter, which is based out of Pennsylvania, where we're from. And I find it really interesting because, an Equipter is a huge investment for a roofing company. Mm-hmm. It's a huge investment for a small roofing company. And I'm not saying that you're small, but you're in 3 years. So you guys made that investment. And the cool part is I saw how it aligns with your values. You were able to keep the job site clean and neat. You were able, we were talking before we got started here just about how I actually did roofing in high school when I was younger to make extra money because the pay was so good.
Yeah.
Like I'm I'm not kidding. There are days where if I could physically do it, I'd be like, wow, that's pretty awesome. But it was so different back then than what I saw here the other day with your team, just how they were utilizing an extremely innovative machine. You know, the homeowner came out and she's like, that dumpster thing, like that moves, that does this, that does that. And just seeing the investment that you guys put into that and how you use that then to take care of the site, like throwing the roof off, there really weren't wheelbarrows like I saw. There wasn't, cleaning stuff up out of flower beds or anything like that. You were using this thing. And so it was neat to see how your values were implemented in the investment in that equipment that you used.
Yeah, definitely. So we actually have invested in quite a few different equipment, the Equipter, the catch-all system. And while at first, the crew and us, we don't love it because it takes time to set up, it's worth it in the long haul and making the homeowner feel more comfortable. Just making sure there's not as much of a mess going on in their front yard. But really, it just comes down to we want the homeowner to know that we're there to take care of them. And we want to invest in our company to make sure that we are doing the best that we can. And we're always growing as a company and just researching what else is out there to help us stand apart.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, transitioning a little bit here, you guys have been making that investment, and investment in small businesses is a really interesting thing because you've ever heard the term you have to have money to make money. It's a neat thing to say, but you also have to have money to spend money.
Yes.
So it's a big decision when you make an investment, and I know in your role you're the numbers person. How do you make that decision to invest? Like, if you're looking at all the numbers, would you say that you're making that investment because you know the return is actually going to be that much greater than the investment that you're making?
Yes, I would say so. So I'm the numbers person. I'm the one that's always going to say, no, we can't do it. Like, there's absolutely no way. And my husband's the exact opposite. He's like, we're doing it. It's the best thing. Like, we need to do it. And he'll just jump and do it. So most of our investments are really, my husband was like, we need this. He's the one that's out on the site. He knows what we truly need. And even if I'm like, we shouldn't, he's like, we're doing it. And he's like, you'll see why. And every time he's been right, I'll give that to him.
Wow.
But the return on investment has always been great. We've never regretted any of our investments. So
wow,
give him all the credit.
That's really cool, actually, to hear that dynamic. I always wondered what the dynamic would be, a husband and wife, in business together. I mean, like you guys are together all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then just that connection, what you're talking about there is something I think that really gets lost with management and the field. We like to say, we're together like this, like, the field, the jobs, they wouldn't have them if it wasn't for the team that's building those jobs and getting them out there. And the office and management wouldn't have the receivables coming in if the team wasn't doing the work that was making people want to call back. Like, it's this symbiotic relationship is what it needs to be.
Yes. That's why I think team is so important. That was one of my main things that I said when starting Underdog. We had me, my husband, and my husband's brother when we started, and we each had our own separate role in the company to make it successful. And that's why I think it's so important, because we all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. And each person was able to highlight the other person's weakness.
Wow.
So.
Wow. That's really cool how you work together like that. I think that's the biggest thing. And going back to some of what we talked about before, like, everybody is made differently, and we have those different things, and when we put them together, it's like we can really be effective. There's an old Kenyan quote that says, let's see if I can get it right here. Since we're recording, I'll try not to mess it up. But you can go fast alone. You can go far together. And that seems to be something that I really, truly am seeing, even with what we're doing at Blackline, even with what I've done in some of the other companies that I've been a part of. The fact that, and not to mention, going alone is lonely.
Yes.
Like,
couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it's hard to do on your own. And why would you do that when you can do so much more together as a team? It just means that you have to deal with and work through things together to get to the other side.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
I mean, we all clash and it's going to happen, but it's all about balance, I think, at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just trying to think here as we're closing. I really appreciate how you guys have invited us into your business and just talked through with us. I had some great conversations with Will and Ben yesterday just about what we believe in this trade industry that is changing and moving, and the importance of highlighting people and what you're doing. And so I just so appreciate what Underdog is doing here in Nashville. And it was really cool to be down here and see how you were working with Lifted, and Jarrell and those guys, how they were working with you guys in renting equipters, and then they were a part of you buying one and you still rent from them. So it was really cool to see all that. Just really appreciate how open you guys have been and willing to sit down and talk with me just about trades, the work, the industry. I'm really excited to maybe come back in a couple of years and see where you guys are at, especially when you're in an industry that has such great potential to grow. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were just talking about, how many billions of dollars, but I think I was just telling your husband that one of the largest roofing companies in the country is at like $950 million last year. Like it's insane.
The numbers with roofing will really blow your mind. And you might not think that, but it's a really great industry that's always going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, every house needs a roof.
Yep.
And I think that's something that, we're trying to highlight is it's a great industry that it needs to always be there. Mm-hmm. But we're running into issues with the knowledge not being there that, there's a storm or something and your roof is ripped off. You need people there quickly. And if we aren't communicating and training and teaching and building, then it's not going to be something that can be done. I mean, we're already experiencing that.
Yep. I think that's really important. My family was part of Katrina.
Yeah.
And they had contractors that came in and, did not fix their house correctly. And they had black mold.
Wow.
And then they had to move back out a year later for 2 years to get all their walls ripped out. Wow. So I think that it's really important. The knowledge is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really excited to talk with you again in a few years and see where you guys are at, and just really cool to see where Underdog is going. And
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today, Madeline.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Me too. Thank you.